Let's discuss some tips about who are the people you should be selecting to bug out with, aka our bug out tribe. Now, many of us already have an idea of who we would immediately bug out with, and hopefully you have an idea about where you would bug out to if you had to evacuate your home for any type of emergency, such as an earthquake, a fire, or more of a disaster type situation where you couldn't come home for a while. However, a lot of us don't really discuss what our plans are for a longer term bug out scenario, and that is what I want to talk to you about today. So let's discuss how we can better plan the type of people that we would want to bug out with in order to make sure that we were successful in our bug out situations and our bug out location. Now, when you bug out, there are so many things to think about that this is something that you should already have in your plan before you bug out, and it gives you one less thing to think about in the chaos. Just knowing that you have these people who have your back, who have skills, and who are capable of helping you keep your bug out location safe and keep it secure from people who may want to take it away from you. So it's going to be very important to have people in your tribe who have the following skills so that you can fulfill these certain roles and job duties that are going to keep your bug out location safer. The first one is security. So anyone who has been in the military, who has tactical skills, who has either been police, any form of security, or even people who are just very street savvy and people who have a lot of self-awareness, people who have a lot of situational awareness, people who have those types of skills are going to be very useful to provide security for your bug out location. Anybody who is good at shooting, who has knowledge on firearms, can also be very useful in a security situation. So just anybody who has these skills, who's just very vigilant, can definitely help keep your bug out location safe and secure. This is going to be one of the jobs that you're going to want to have. You're going to want to have some of these people on your bug out tribe. Along with security, you're also going to want somebody who's really good at hunting or fishing so that you can harvest and procure food for your family. I know a lot of us actually have food prepared, and we prepare for having some meals for a certain amount of time. If it's a longer term situation, you're definitely going to want to have somebody who is good at hunting, somebody who's good at fishing, just someone who is able to go out and procure more food for your group as a whole. So anybody who's good with harvesting animals, and also another skill that you would want to have in your tribe is someone who's good at bow hunting. Bow hunting is a lot quieter than using firearms when you're hunting, especially because depending on the area, you want to, keep your situation a little bit more stealth. So bow hunting is definitely a good skill to have, or maybe you would like to pick up that skill. That's actually a great skill to have for anybody in your bug out tribe. And along with hunting and fishing and food procurement, you definitely want someone who's good at cooking and who can actually prepare food and make it tasty. A lot of the times we prepare meals and have, items prepped, but when it comes down to dwindling resources, you definitely want to make sure that you have someone who can make your food and your meals spread out for longer term scenarios. And especially, make it tasty, because if you don't keep people fed, then it's definitely gonna fall apart a lot quicker. And definitely making sure that you can make your meals last and make it tasty, of course, because once you have dwindling resources, having somebody who can cook is definitely an asset. Along with that, having somebody who's a homemaker, like, mothers, someone who's very motherly and can take care of the home. Some of us have children in our family. However, somebody who can keep, the calm and the nurturing aspect, especially in a disaster scenario, keeping children safe, keeping them calm, keeping the family calm as a whole, having people who are able to keep people taken care of. And of course, there's also other things that come with that, like cleaning the house, cleaning, laundry, other things that we somewhat overlook, especially in a disaster scenario. It's definitely important that we don't overlook our homemakers and mothers and people who can keep us calm and centered and taken care of in a disaster scenario. That's highly important. The next skill that I place highly on my list is people who are good at farming, gardening, or just people who can grow and have a green thumb. Because honestly, not everybody can grow food. And if you're going to be in a longer term scenario where you're in an emergency and you're going to have to stay in the location and procure food, you can definitely start growing your staples at your bug out location, such as tomatoes, potatoes, things that grow quickly and that you can utilize to finish off and garnish your foods, make your food spread, and definitely be able to procure food and grow your own food if you have people who have those skills within your bug out tribe. Another skill that I place high on my bug out tribe list is definitely people who are handyman or handy people, people who are able to do maintenance, can do work on your property, can fix items that may break, people who have the ingenuity to fix broken items, people who are carpenters, builders, who can maintain a property. These are great skills to have among your bug out tribe, or just having someone who is an electrician. An electrician can definitely help you fix up and rig up some solar panels, and definitely maintain some sort of power and electricity happening. Now, power is essential, even if it's just for basics. So this is an essential skill. So I definitely want to make sure that I have someone who has those skills among my people. Mechanics and people who know how to fix up vehicles are definitely another person that I definitely want to make sure that I have among my people. Just because you never know what's going to break down and you never know what's going to happen on your way to or from your bug out location, or when you're out procuring food. Any vehicle can break down, and just knowing the basic and mechanics, and it's a great skill to have among your people who are going to be bugging out with you, especially if you're going to be bugging out long distances, because you never know what could happen from here to your bug out location. And having someone who can help you figure those things out and who is, mechanically savvy is definitely important and should be among your list. Other skills that I look for in people in my bug out tribe is people who are sailors or people who are pilots. Now, I know this is a little bit different and it's something that maybe others haven't thought about before, but the reason I pick people who know how to sail and who are familiar, with boating, sailing, is because they are good at navigation. They are good with fishing. They are good in a type of environment where we may not be as familiar as we are on land. So it's definitely important to have people who have other skills, such as, being a pilot, flying a plane, flying a helicopter. All of these things are actually also essential to have in mind, because you just never know what type of situation and scenario there's going to be. And having these skills among your people is definitely good skills to have. Even if you don't use them, I think that it's actually an essential item to have, or at least know the basics of. I recently learned how to sail during the COVID pandemic, not just because it was my personal dream to learn how to sail and I love sailing, but I just because I feel like that is definitely one of the biggest skills to have. A lot of people don't know navigation, don't know how to live on the water, and all of these skills, can definitely be combined and utilized. So I definitely feel that these are great skills to have, and people who have these skills are great to have among your bug out tribe. And last but certainly not least, people who have medical knowledge are essential. Now, doctors, nurses, anyone who really has any sort of wound care knowledge, or even people who know any type of old school, home remedies, who can take care of somebody who is injured, who is sick, who just has that knowledge. Not everybody knows how to take care of wounds, making sure that you can prevent infections, making sure you can irrigate and clean wounds. Anyone who has knowledge on how to stitch up a wound, and if you have a situation where some of your family is injured, these are highly coveted skills among your bug out tribe, because you never know what type of scenario you will have to overcome. And this is definitely one of the essential skills that you should have among your bug out tribe. Even if it just means, learning basic first aid, learning basic CPR among yourselves, among your family. Having those basic skills can be life-saving and are super important. So definitely make sure that you take a look at all of the skills that your family has combined. I know that we all talk about, the unprepared, and how people always tell us that in a disaster scenario, they're going to come and knock on our door, or they're going to try to bug out with us. However, I do look at the people who may not be as prepared, and I think about what kind of skills they possess before the disaster happens, because you never know what type of disaster is going to happen. And even if those people are not as prepared as you are, you can definitely utilize the skills that they have now. So I actually have some people in my bug out tribe that are not necessarily preppers, or are not necessarily as prepared, because of the fact that they have these skills, and I know that I can utilize these skills later in exchange for providing some of my preps up front, because of these skills, are going to be extremely useful to our safety later and to our family in the long term. Now, of course, you definitely have to weigh the pros and cons when it comes to accepting people who are not as prepared into your bug out tribe, and utilize the skills that your family and your friends already have, and expand among those skills. And you can start helping them prepare at least with the basics. That way they're not starting from nothing. They're not coming with nothing. Even if it's just the basic 72-hour kit that they come with, at least they can take care of themselves and contribute if you start preparing them and helping them prepare now, because in the long term their skills will be useful. You can definitely start preparing and help your family prepare, before the disaster happens. We're not going to accept everyone, of course. We can't take care of everybody. But however, right now we do have the time to assess who is essential, who is not as essential, or who can be utilized in other ways to keep our family safe in a bug out situation or in a disaster scenario. So I hope that this video helped you assess who may be useful in your bug out tribe, and I'll see you in the next video.